Even when everything seemed lost, God still had a plan. But before the blessing, there was a battle that began even before birth. This is the story of two brothers, a conflict that would change the destiny of a nation. The story begins long before Jacob and Esau came into the world, in the womb of their mother, Rebekah. She felt such an intense struggle inside her that she cried out to God, asking why that was happening. And the Lord answered her with a prophecy that would define generations. 2 nations are in your womb, and 2 peoples will be separated from your body. 1 people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger. Imagine the weight of these words resonating in the mind of a mother. The promise was clear. The destiny of her children had already been set in a surprising way, going against all traditions of the time. And so the boys were born and grew up, each displaying a completely different personality, as if the prophecy were already taking shape with every step they took. Esau, the firstborn, was a man of the field, a skilled hunter, impulsive, living on adrenaline and the strength of his arms. He was the pride of his father, Isaac. Jacob, on the other hand, was a calm and introspective man who preferred the peace of the tents. His mother, Rebekah, had a special affection for him. This difference in temperament was not just a detail, but the stage upon which the great drama of their lives would unfold. One loved the smell of the earth and the hunt, the other the warmth of home and the aroma of stew. The tension between them reached a critical moment on a seemingly ordinary day. Esau returned from the hunt completely exhausted, starving, feeling like he would faint. His eyes landed on Jacob, who was preparing a red, fragrant, inviting stew. In that moment of weakness, desire spoke louder than reason. "Give me some of that red stew, for I'm dying of hunger," Esau begged. Jacob, seeing the opportunity, realized this was his chance to obtain something he deeply desired, something that, by natural order, would never be his. He responded directly, "Sell me your birthright first." In that moment, Esau's hunger was greater than his vision of the future. "What good is this birthright to me if I'm about to die?" he answered, with the disregard of someone who doesn't understand the value of what he has. He made an oath, and for a simple bowl of lentils, he exchanged his inheritance, his legacy, his position as firstborn. He ate, drank, got up, and left. The Bible says he, quote, despised his birthright. A thoughtless act, a decision driven by hunger, but with eternal consequences. Jacob, in turn, seized with cunning what the prophecy seemed to indicate would be his. Time passed, and the prophecy continued to unfold. When Isaac grew old and his eyes became so dim that he could no longer see, he felt his days were coming to an end. He called his favorite son Esau and asked him to go to the field, hunt an animal, and prepare a tasty meal as he liked. After that, he would give him his final blessing, a patriarchal blessing carrying immense spiritual and material weight, defining the future of all his descendants. It was the most anticipated moment in the life of a firstborn. But Rebekah, the mother, heard the entire conversation. Her heart stirred, remembering the prophecy that the older would serve the younger. Driven by intense maternal love and perhaps a distorted faith in God's plan, she decided to intervene. She could not allow the blessing to go to Esau, so she quickly devised a bold plan. She called Jacob and said, "Go to the flock, bring me 2 young goats, and I will prepare a delicious meal for your father. You will take it to him, and he will bless you." Jacob hesitated, "But Esau is hairy and I have smooth skin. If my father touches me, he will discover the deception, and I will be cursed, not blessed." Rebekah, with the urgency that allowed no refusal, took responsibility. "Let the curse fall on me, my son. Just obey." She dressed him in Esau's best clothes and covered his hands and neck with the goat skins. With his heart pounding, Jacob entered the dark tent where his father rested. "My father?" he said, imitating his brother's voice. Isaac, suspicious, asked, "Who are you, my son?" "I am Esau, your firstborn," Jacob lied. Isaac asked him to come closer so he could touch him. When he felt the rough skins, he said, "The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's." Even with doubt, the frailty of his senses deceived him. He ate the meal and finally kissed his son. Then Isaac released the powerful blessing. "May God give you the dew of heaven and the richness of the earth. May nations serve you and peoples bow before you. Be Lord over your brothers, and may the sons of your mother bow before you." Jacob had succeeded. He had taken the blessing. Barely had Jacob left when Esau arrived, bringing the hunt his father had requested. He prepared the food and took it to Isaac. "Rise, my father, and eat, that you may bless me." Isaac trembled violently. He asked, "Who are you?" "I am your son, your firstborn, Esau." The terrible truth became clear. Isaac realized the deception and said, "Your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing." At that moment, Esau let out a loud, bitter cry, full of pain and regret. "Bless me too, my father," he pleaded, weeping. But it was too late. The main blessing, the blessing of the birthright, had already been given and could not be taken back. Esau's pain turned into a deep hatred, and he swore to kill Jacob as soon as their father died. Facing the deadly threat from his brother, Rebekah intervened again and told Jacob to flee. He needed to go to the land of their relatives, far from Esau's fury. And so Jacob, the deceiver, became a fugitive. He left alone, with nothing but his clothes on his back, walking through a barren desert. Everything he had gained through cunning seemed lost. He was alone, afraid, far from home. But it was there, in the loneliness of the desert, at the lowest point of his life, that God revealed himself to him. Even though he had failed, God did not abandon him. That night, as he slept with a stone for a pillow, Jacob had a dream. He saw a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, with angels of God ascending and descending on it. And at the top stood the Lord, who said to him, "I am the God of Abraham, your grandfather, and the God of Isaac, your father. I will give to you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. I am with you, and will watch over you wherever you go, and I will bring you back to this land. I will not leave you until I have done what I promised you." Jacob had an encounter with grace. He understood that even though he had failed, God's plan was greater and more faithful. The story of Jacob and Esau shows us that even in the midst of family conflict, deception, and human failures, God is in control of all things. He is sovereign over our choices and uses even our mistakes to fulfill his greater purposes. God's plan for Jacob did not depend on Jacob's perfection, but on God's faithfulness. This is a powerful lesson for each of us. How many times do we feel that we have gone astray or that everything is lost? Jacob's story shows that the grace of God meets us exactly where we are, in our running, in our loneliness. Even in conflict and pain, God guides every detail of our story to fulfill his eternal purpose. Just as he transformed the life of Jacob, the deceiver, into Israel, the one who wrestles with God and prevails,
He can also transform our weaknesses into strength and our failures into a testimony of His grace. Share this message of hope, and remember, no matter how far you have gone or what mistakes you have made, God has never given up on you. His plan for your life still stands. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.